Hello and good afternoon, good morning, everyone. I can see the attendees list going in nice and fast. I'm just going to give another 10 seconds for everyone to be able to join in. So stay tight, hang on. All right, we've got about 50 attendees come up. So thank you all for joining in this afternoon and this morning, wherever you are. Welcome to yet another Tech Drop-In session hosted by Veritas. It's been a few weeks or months that we've not had a session, and I thought it is a good time that we resume our engagement, and we've got fantastic responses in the previous sessions. So thank you all for making time and joining us today. So today we are going to talk about NetBackup and the crucial reasons to upgrade. Now, the whole topic today is going to be presented by Daniel Go, who's our sales engineering leader based out of Singapore. And with him, we have the privilege of having a regional CTO, Jeff Coley, in the house. So Jeff will help us talk about what he's hearing from the leaders in the market and how he is anticipating the market to shape up in the coming future. On the panel, we have Chek San. Chek San is our technology practice lead for backup and recovery. Welcome, Chek San. And Chek San and I will be hosting the session today and coming to you for the questions. Now, we want this to be a fairly interactive session, so make sure you use the Q&A section in the Zoom app. Put in the question that you have. We will try to address your question online, and we'll also bring up questions that are relevant to the broader audience and interesting questions onto the topic for discussion. Again, an incentive for today, the best question of the day is going to be awarded a $25 Amazon voucher. We will reach out to the winner personally or email by end of day today. Now, having said that, I want to hand it over to Daniel to take through the session today. Over to you, Daniel.
Hey, thanks, Amit. Selamat pagi, Harun Sawar, magandang umaga, ciao bui sang. Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are. For those of us that do not know what I just said, I try to simulate good morning in Malay, in Thai, in Philippine, Tagalog, or in Vietnamese language. Right. I mean, in today's audience, we have actually invited across the whole Asia South and Pacific customers out there. So wherever you are, thanks for joining in today. Right, so today I'm going to share on the updates that we have in the upcoming versions of NetBackup, and also to take a look at what we have today in NetBackup as well. Of course, we're going to touch on the crucial reasons why you should be looking at upgrading your existing NetBackup setup as well. So before we begin, we would like to take a quick poll here. So we would like to understand, right, existingly, what existing version on NetBackup are you actually running on your master server or primary server, right? For all those customers out there that are existing NetBackup customers, what versions are you actually using right now, right? Are you still using on the old versions of NetBackup in 6, 7, or you have already caught up with the more recent versions on like NetBackup 8 or even the latest version on NetBackup 9, right? We will definitely be very keen to actually understand what versions of NetBackup you're actually using, right? So if you can quickly submit in those polls, we'd like to get a quick understanding of what versions of NetBackup that you're actually running right now.
All right, we can close the poll in the next 5 seconds.
Yep.
Like a good mixed bag on the results there.
Are we able to see the results?
We should be. There we go.
Okay. Thank you, Trudy. Okay, so very good. There's no customers out there. I mean, existingly, at least in the audience today, that's running on version 6 because there's no longer any support for version 6, right? So there's still a very small remnant of you guys out there that's running on version 7. So we do definitely want to encourage you to look at upgrading, right? So of course, majority of our customers are using on NetBackup version 8.x as well, right? That's where we have made a lot of releases in the last few years in the version 8 as well. But of course, today we are on the latest version, which is version 9.1 as well, right? So before we let's move on next, right? Essentially, we want to look at what are the current versions of NetBackup, right? From 2016 onwards, we actually launched version 8.0. Right? In 2016 December, we actually released NetBackup 8.0. Right? We actually released a lot of capabilities around cloud, the first cloud backup capabilities in the AWS AMI. Right? We're able to do simple, fast, unified data protection, right, for workloads that are running in the Amazon EC2 cloud services. At the same time, previous years, we have actually released a lot of capabilities for Vmware. But in 2016, in NetBackup version 8, we further accelerated our protection for Microsoft Hyper-V. That's where we are able to actually accelerate a lot of protection of Hyper-V workload as well. Of course, we also introduced deduplication capabilities to enhance deduplicate site and faster backups for Isilon file backup as well. Right. Of course, we also started to release a lot of cloud connectors. Right. In 2016, we do see a lot of adoption. Customers are starting to explore cloud environments that they want to have as well. Right. Then subsequently, in probably less than a year, we actually released NetBackup 8.1. Right. One of the very key capabilities in 8.1 was the release of NetBackup Cloud Catalyst. Right. So what is Cloud Catalyst? Essentially, it allows us to have very fast and storage efficient backup to a cloud storage, right, to object storage, end-to-end deduplication. Right. In the industry out there, there are a lot of other such solutions, but none are as optimized as the one that we have. Right. What we have is essentially to allow end-to-end deduplication. There's no rehydration of data, meaning that you save on storage costs, you save on bandwidth and network costs as well. So of course, we also supported big data workloads, right, to allow parallel streamings capable backup of those workloads as well. So of course, in 2017, we saw the rise of Nutanix as well. So Veritas reacted accordingly. We released the capabilities to actually protect Nutanix workload as well. Right, for those customers that are using Nutanix, we actually help them, right, to actually onboard Nutanix as a workload that we protect as well. So we also released other capabilities like instant access for instant recovery for Oracle workloads, which allows customers to access Oracle databases directly from the NetBackup appliances. Right. So shortly after, again, in 2018, right, in a very short few months, we released a minor version, which is NetBackup 8.1.1. Right. Again, we made a lot of enhancement in the area of cloud capabilities as well. We supported a AWS Glacier cloud connectors, again utilizing inexpensive cloud storage, right, for backup and long-term retention. Right. So we have also expanded additional workloads where we see the rise of next-generation databases, Postgres, SQL, the MariaDB or the NoSQL kind of databases they are coming as well. So in 8.1, we also introduced a lot of REST APIs, which allows a lot of customization in terms of UX, and of course, integration with a lot of third-party applications out there with us. So again, in 2018, we also released another update to 8.1, which is 8.1.2. Right here, this is where we actually release our new web UI. Right, historically, a lot of our customers enjoyed using the Java UI. They were very comfortable. Right. But based on a lot of feedback from our customers, they requested a new way to consume NetBackup, right, which is through a browser interface. So that's where we released a new web UI, which allows a simple, secure, and a web-based user experience. Right. With that web UI, we also release capabilities to actually allow role-based access. Right. So it allows you to create limited access to specific users and roles as well. Of course, doubling down on the cloud capabilities, we continue on to support AWS VMC workloads as well. Right, we're able to protect those cloud workloads that customers that are still using VMware out in AWS environment as well. Right. So moving ahead, not stopping still, we release 8.2. Right, NetBackup 8.2 further allows us to also on the cloud capabilities, allows us to actually orchestrate data recovery, data disaster recovery use cases into AWS. Right, having those workloads that you protect on premise, you want to use any of those cloud as a secondary data center, we allow customers to orchestrate that data disaster recovery scenarios out there into there as well. So of course, we also supported Red Hat virtualization with 8.2, which allows a simple user experience for our customers as well. So of course, we also further enhance our VMware recovery capabilities by introducing a agentless VMware recovery function. Right, there you're able to do granular recovery of VM data without any agents as well. So of course, after 2019, I mean, everybody suffered a global event that hit us globally, right? That's where COVID-19 happened in 2020, April, right? So however, we at Veritas, we didn't stop innovating as well, right? A few key events actually happened during the pandemic in the IT space as well. I think all of us are very familiar. We saw the rise of ransomware as a service, right? Familiar companies like JBS Food, Colonial Pipelines, all these major companies were hit with ransomware as well. That's where a lot of our customers are starting to move their environments, right, to be ready, ready for their environment to be ransomware protected. So in 8.3, we put in a lot of effort to actually focus on that. We strengthen our ransomware resiliency. We want to outsmart and prevent ransomware with hardened security, right, with storage immutability, right? So that's where we created a lot of solutions around that to work with both external parties as well, storage providers, at the same time with our internal appliances as well. We also introduced object storage support for client-side deduplication to allow customers to efficiently write again to the cloud environment as well. Right. We also introduced the capability to do cloud snapshots. At the same time, we can do a granular recovery from a cloud perspective as well. So a year on later, we actually rolled out NetBackup 9.0. Right, 9.0 essentially introduced a new architecture deployment method as well. Right, we want to essentially deploy NetBackup in an automated hyper-converged scale-out form factor. That's where we actually introduced a NetBackup FlexScale as well. Right, FlexScale is our scale-out solution approach for customers out there that want to adopt a scale-out architecture. Right, so with that, in 9.0, we also introduced a seamless workload for data portability in the cloud, including Azure Stack, right? To Azure Stack and from Azure region to region, right? For orchestrated disaster recovery using our resiliency platform integration as well. Right, of course, coming up to the latest version in 9.0, right? Shortly again in 2021, with the speed of innovation, right? If you notice in the months of releases, right? We actually want to make sure our customers are out there being protected as well. So in 9.1, again, doubling down on that cyber resiliency capabilities, we actually introduced artificial intelligence with machine learning capabilities to allow customers to automatically detect, right, and notify administrators if there's any sudden changes in the backup perspective, right? Any unexpected, any anomalies that's being picked up as well. So of course, we also introduced continuous data protection capabilities, which is a low impact, right, to the backups, right, to provide an integrated protection with a zero downtime outcome in mind, right, to instantly roll back to help facilitate any recovery from a ransomware attack scenario as well. So of course, we also supported immutability from object lock storage in AWS S3, right? So object lock, just to highlight the big difference here, we're actually locking down on a per object level in the object storage, right? It's not on a bucket level, but it's on a per object level as well. So that also differentiates us from across the other solutions out there in the provided, right? Of course, wrapping it up, right? Essentially, we also onboarded auto scaling capabilities, which allows you to dynamically resize some of the cloud resources as required, right? So ensuring protection needs are met while we help to optimize some of these costs for our customers. So if you notice at the bottom half, right, in 8.3, we actually released API, right? We wanted to adopt an API first capabilities. And in 9.0, we introduced some of the containerized services in NetBackup 9.0, right? And then in 9.1, essentially, we want to burst fully out into the cloud, allowing our customers to actually optimize some of the resources that they have in the cloud as well when they want to run any data protection requirements out in the cloud, right? So as you can see, from all the way from 8.0 and not stopping even in the pandemic era, we actually help our customers to achieve some of these requirements, some of these crucial business challenges that they have out there, right? So before we move on, maybe here we want to take a quick poll as well. Just now we talked about what versions of a master server or the primary servers that you're running. Now we want to understand also, are there, other than the backup infrastructure, are there older clients that you need to run, right, to protect? Maybe there could be certain reasons that you have, right? Some of your applications that are that you can't upgrade. So that's why you can't use the newer versions of NetBackup. Right? If you can help to provide a poll up there for here so that we can have a understanding of where are most of us, still using from a client perspective, right? From a protection perspective, which version of NetBackup are we still using it? So appreciate everybody's input to the polling questions. I want to understand exactly which versions, are there any challenges or realistically on the ground that we are seeing, right? So that you can also understand better from our customers' perspective, right? Exactly which versions are you still running at, and potentially what can we do to help most of our customers with that as well.
And this is a multiple choice option, so feel free to pick more than one version based on
yes,
what is running in your environment. And essentially this just gives us a view of the spread of the clients and the versions, and the newer versions we also get a view of what backward compatibility issues can arise because of the older versions. All right, I think we can stop the poll here, and let's see how the results come through.
Okay. So we do have a couple of guys that are still using version 6. So just a friendly reminder, version 6 is no longer supported. So probably it'd be good to take a deep and good look at that. If you need any help, we are definitely here to help. So you can reach out to us on that as well. So again, in sync with the previous poll, a lot of our customers out there are on version 8.x as well. Right? So that's where we are also anticipating a lot of our customers still using on that versions. Right? Of course, we do have a couple of customers that are already on the latest version of NetBackup, so that's good to hear that as well. That's where we're able to actually address some of the crucial business challenges that a lot of our customers are facing. So before I move on, let me trying to close the poll. Okay. Before I move on, the next topic we're going to talk about are the crucial reasons to upgrade. Right. I would like to introduce to you Jeff Coley, which is our regional CTO. Is going to share a bit on, from the perspective that he has been talking to a lot of our customers, a lot of CTOs and CIOs, what are the things that they are considering out there in this area as well. Over to you, Jeff.
Thanks, Daniel. Right, so no stopping in any time I saw. And there's quite a history there of some very recent upgrades to NetBackup. Let me share with you a broader perspective then. One is that we believe, and based on feedback we have from the market, that you need to be able to securely protect data anywhere. You need to be able to recover from anywhere to anywhere. And we'll tell you more in a moment around what autonomous data management means, and we'll lay out a bit more of a vision that shares with you where we're going, and you'll see the level of investment that Veritas is making in NetBackup. Let me bring to your attention, though, two key themes. One is addressing risk, and one is being cloud ready and beyond. And beyond talks to where we're going again from an autonomous data management vision, which we'll come back to. So CIOs and CTOs, as recently as last week in a room, told me that many of them are not following best practices when it comes to backup and recovery strategies. 3 copies of your data on 2 different media types, one off-site, is a fundamental principle. Many CIOs, CISOs, and CTOs tell me that it's very, very challenging to recover one particular data set in the event of a cyber attack. Backup technologies themselves are not immune to cyber attacks. As many of you will be aware, we have security-backed optimized appliances with their own IPS and IDS on them around limiting access to backup data. But many of you also consume NetBackup how you want to, such as on your own hardware deployments through software. Backup technologies are targeted through cyber attacks. And we want to make sure that you're aware of the new features that we have around immutability within the backup platform, but also immutability within the likes of S3 and also now with Azure. We see the notion of double and triple extortion So cyber attacks occur, an organization is impacted once, they're subsequently and in quick succession impacted again by a different variant. So again, it's making sure that we've got the right data management solution to address risk. Organizations we're seeing also that we talk to are taking more than many months to be able to recover. And again, some of this comes down to the lack of understanding of where your data is. It comes down to your visibility of how you'd recover, comes down to recovery testing. It comes down to not being able to meet recovery point, recovery time objectives. So post ransomware attack or post cyber event, what would you know? And how might you work with Veritas around integrating more tightly into your operating model? How does NetBackup integrate into things like ServiceNow? What are we doing with AI and ML around anomaly detection? What else can we do around helping your security teams look at the deviation from standard? What's happening right now as opposed to what happened yesterday? How do you open up your backup images and scan them for malware? Or could you do that now in version 10 in real time or near real time? So it's about being cloud ready and beyond. 71% of you, based on Veritas and Gartner research, suggest that you're using cloud-based collaboration tools and SaaS platforms. Cloud snapshots, though, I would suggest, and again, this is based on feedback from the market, from C-level executives, believe that cloud snapshots do not address neatly recovery time and recovery point objectives. Could you, in fact, bring those into a backup environment? Could you tier them off to different levels of cloud-based storage or bring them back on premise? And the answer is you can. And the answer is, as part of your backup platform architecture in 9.1 and beyond, we want to make sure that we're working with you to support you in doing so. You must have a common view of your data, whether it's the edge of your network, the core, the traditional core, your data center, or again in the cloud, and we'll give you more of a view of our cloud vision in a minute. SaaS providers, so Microsoft is a good example, Salesforce might be another one, are not responsible for data recovery. So that means you are. How does that work for you today? Can you integrate that again and get a common view of your data footprint? Well, in NetBackup 10 you can with SaaS protection built in. In addition to that, I would suggest, research also suggests that you, as you go to cloud, have to be very, very careful in understanding how your distributed compute environment works and how it underpins an IT service. When we were more physically orientated, when we had some degree of virtualization or orchestrated compute, it was still easier to map what an IT service looked like and understand how to recover it. Can you recover it through orchestration? NetBackup has an orchestration capability built in with VRP, the recovery platform, that does just that since NetBackup 9.1. So I'll hand over to Daniel, but the key themes here are, as we go forward, how are we helping you address risk? And how are we making sure that you can recover from anywhere to anywhere through an orchestrated and secure means? Thanks very much, Daniel.
Hey, thanks, Jeff. Right, so Jeff highlighted how do we address risk and how do we be cloud ready and beyond as well. Right? So I just picked a certain few key features that we're going to release, already have in 9.1 and also upcoming in NetBackup 10 as well. So a lot of interest from our customers around anomaly detection. Right? In 9.1, we actually allow customers to pick up anomalies from a backup job behavior perspective. If there's any change from any abnormal behavior from a job characteristic perspective, right? We actually pick it up. We actually inform customers of that as well. So upcoming in NetBackup 10, right, we're going to further enhance this with a integrated malware scanning capabilities. So imagine once anomaly is being picked up already in the backup space, in the backup job, what it will do essentially, you automatically trigger an additional process to do a malware scanning. Right, so Veritas will be providing a malware scanner by default if you want to use. We also do support a few third-party malware scanners out there. So once that process is triggered, customers will, the malware scanners will then scan through the backup copies. And what, from a backup software perspective, what we'll be doing is we'll be marking that copy, right? Is it a clean copy? Once you're scanning, if there's no issues, no detected malware, no worms, essentially we will then mark it as a clean copy. Customers can then be assured to use this for recovery. Right? If there's any malware or any worms that's being detected on that, will be defining as an impacted copy itself, right? It will be clearly shown and demarked in the web UI. From there, customers will also have a list of impacted files. What are the files that has been infected with a suspected malware or worm? And customers can then do any secondary actions that they need from there. They can then, if they need to, right, do a recovery into an isolated environment so that the data is controlled. Any malware is in a very controlled environment and you can't do anything from there, right? So of course, in another crucial reason to upgrade as well is in the area of workload support as well. So a lot of customers has gone on to adopt cloud, right? They're also asking to for more broader support for cloud workload as well, right? So of course, looking at the SaaS workloads, your M365 workloads, your RDMS, right? Your databases in the cloud, your Azure SQL. Customers that are asking for all this, right? These are definitely very important and crucial reasons why a lot of them need to upgrade as well, right? So it will apply to you as well. I will definitely invite you to take a look at your requirements. If some of these are requirements that you have, but you haven't started looking at NetBackup, some of the key capabilities, right? So these are good pointers to start considering to help you to address some of these upgrade requirements, the need that you have across as well. So in the next few sessions and the next few tech drops-ins, we'll definitely be sharing in more details across some of these capabilities as well for our customers, right? Of course, to address operational efficiency, right? For those that are not using the web UI, to encourage a lot of you to adopt the web UI, right? We made a lot of enhancement to that to make it such that customers are very keen to actually use that because it actually makes things easier to manage, which translates to a better user experience for all of us as well. So with that said, right, I'm sure a lot of customers, okay, I want to perform an upgrade. Where do I find more information on that? Right, there are a lot of publicly available information that you can actually go out there. We do have a NetBackup upgrade portal. Inside there, you'll be able to see the different versions and the details information that you have on pertaining to the upgrade process. We also have a installation or even an upgrade checklist as well. You can define which versions that you currently have and which version you're planning to upgrade to as well, right? You will churn out a list of documents, a list of checklists that's relevant that you can go through to help you go through that upgrade help that you need as well. So of course, I also encourage you to understand the EOSL date for some of the NetBackup versions that you have, because operationally we need to plan out when should we be executing upgrades of our infrastructure, whether is it NetBackup or even some of your other components within your data center. By understanding those end of support live dates is crucial to helping you have a better planning forward as well. So over here, we'll take a final polling question to everybody. We'd like to understand, right? Essentially from the backup perspective, do you actually require any help, right, in terms of planning, and performing any upgrades to your existing NetBackup environments? Right? So this is a single choice answer, right? Whether do you need help, maybe, or even if you need any help from us, right? Do you need any pre-upgrade or even a post-upgrade assessment, right? Any health check around the area as well to help to indicate to us. This will help us to understand, your needs out there as well, right? How we can better assist a lot of our customers out there, right, in this upgrade process for them as well. So this is a single choice polling question. Just do indicate your answer in there. Whether do you need help? Yes, no. Or there's further help that you need from us. We definitely will be keen to actually ensure the success of our customers in upgrading the NetBackup environment that they have as well.
I mean, Daniel, it's fair to say in some cases, as a customer, you might do your own upgrades, but you might want someone to validate the health of the environment before or after the upgrade takes place, or assist with functional testing. And whether it's Veritas or its partners, we're happy to help in that regard.
Yep, definitely. Just a couple of more seconds before we show the polling results. Okay, there we have it. Okay, we do have quite a balanced view in terms of most of customers some customers do require help in that as well. Right? So definitely be keen, right, to engage with you to help you on that upgrade process, to ensure that everything is smooth as well, because backup in a lot of environments is considered a mission critical tier 1 application as well, right? So of course, for those that indicate whether that you would like a pre-upgrade or even a post-upgrade health check, definitely we'll be keen to engage with you to offer our assistance in that area as well. So thank you everybody for your participation in this poll. Okay. Okay, next up, the next portion of today's session, I'm going to talk a bit on the future as well. Right? What is our autonomous data management vision, and on some of the upcoming releases capabilities of NetBackup 10, right? To introduce to you our cloud scale technology, right? So in NetBackup 10, which is going to release on next week on March 28, we're going to focus mainly on 3 main areas. But one area is in the area of cyber resiliency, right? How we're going to make the backup solutions, the backup infrastructure, to be more ransom proof as well. Right? As I mentioned just now, we're going to introduce a automated malware scanning. The outcome is to ensure that customers have the capability to allow clean copy recovery. We're also going to focus on automated operations. How do you auto scale some of these resources, especially for the area of cloud protection services? How do we allow elastic cloud services to be adopted to help to reduce costs as well? So of course, we also be focusing on the cloud optimization. In the multi-cloud world, especially, a lot of our customers are already starting to adopt multiple public clouds as well. How do we then also offer visibility in the cloud space as well, in order to help to optimize some of these resources? So in the next few weeks of Tech Drop-ins, we'll be diving into each of these topics in a deeper manner. Right. So next up, I'll be sharing a quick overview of NetBackup 10 as well. So I'll just pick up a few important things that we want to highlight as well. Right. So in the area of workloads, again, we have made improvements in the area of Oracle Instant Access, whereby allowing customers to allow client-side deduplication into MSDP, right? Improving the capabilities for Oracle backup as well. So of course, we also enhance Kubernetes support, right? Allowing customers to deploy Kubernetes in Azure Kubernetes, right? Allowing data to be ingested and to allow a cross-platform restoration capabilities. So in the area of SaaS protection, we have also made improvement in the area of integrating the management into the NetBackup UI as well. For customers out there that are using our NetBackup SaaS protection solutions, now they can also manage those workloads from the NetBackup UI. But of course, not forgetting again on the cloud space for PaaS support, we're going to support a new PaaS workload, which is the Azure SQL. This is something that a lot of customers are asking for as well. So we're going to release these capabilities in NetBackup 10 as well. So of course, again, for the ransomware, what we described just now on the anomaly detection, and we're going to enhance that, what we already have been doing in 9.1 to allow customers to further have that capabilities to fine-tune some of these anomaly detection parameters as well. But of course, on top of that, adding in that malware, automated malware integrated scanning capabilities for our customers. Right? So of course, doubling down on that immutable storage support now, we're going to support as well for S3 object storage in Azure as well, right? Doubling down on that on top of what we already have on AWS. So this is just a quick snapshot of NetBackup 10 capabilities that is going to be released soon in the short time frame, right? So do look out for it. Do reach out to us if you want to find out more in more details on some of the specific details on that as well, right? So this will be again released in March 28, right? That will be a next week time frame. Okay, and next one, I'm going to share briefly on what we're going to do, right, to define the next level of data management. Right, with the launch of NetBackup 10, essentially we are embarking on redefining data management for the next decade. Right, our goals for enterprise data management broadly go into the 3 areas that we talked about. Right, to provide cyber resiliency, ensuring data is protected and recoverable to anywhere, from anywhere, no matter the threat as well. Right, that is the core fundamentals of data protection capabilities, the ability to recover. Right, with that as well, we want to make sure that it's multi-cloud optimized. Right, a lot of our customers operates in multi-cloud world nowadays, where they have 1 data center, 2 data center, and they have also public clouds out there that they also operate in as well. So we want to make sure that they are operating in the most cost-efficient manner and the most performant way possible across and within any cloud as well. So of course, we're going to also improve a autonomous operation by allowing hyper-automation to autonomously provide data management. Right, we want to make it transparent to customers, making sure that all these autonomous capabilities are happening in the background without any human intervention as well. Right, so with NetBackup 10, right, it actually takes us very close to completing this goal. Right, to help us achieve this goal, essentially, we actually implemented NetBackup 10, which is powered by cloud scale technology. Right, NetBackup 10 and cloud scale technology is another major step forward towards our goal of being the first autonomous data management solution in this industry. Right, cloud scale technology updates the proven NetBackup architecture with a modern web scale technologies. Right, we're going to use containerization, we're going to use programmable services. Right, we're going to inbuild more and more artificial intelligence and machine learnings, and techniques such as elasticity. Of course, automation is part of the end game as well. We want to make sure things are automated as much as possible. Of course, multi-tenancy through containerization and self-service. These are the things, the fundamental stuff that we want to do as well. Of course, on that, some of the new capabilities that we're going to deliver in NetBackup 10 essentially are cloud immutable storage on Azure, right, on AWS, and for other parts of the world, they're using the Seagate Live Cloud as well. Right, so now we also onboarded Azure as a warm support for blob storage as well. So we're also going to enable cloud native snapshots for AWS Azure. We're going to allow customers to then do protection of all these workloads that they have in the cloud, at the same time allowing them to do a backup. Once you have a snapshot copy, we believe that you still need an additional copy for backup. We're going to ingest all these snapshot copies into the NetBackup dedupe pool and allowing you to then do any flexibility that you need to have to maneuver some of these copies for portability use as well. Of course, in automated malware scanning, building in more AI's capabilities within, and of course, automating some of these snapshots capability into the SLP policy that we have, right? Improving on the lifecycle capabilities within the cloud environment as well. So all this essentially will provide the foundation for us to essentially enable NetBackup to self-provision resources, right? To self-optimize some of these operations. And even we want to also provide the capabilities to do self-healing and even self-upgrading, right? One of the key areas the customers are asking for is, can you make it easy for me, right, to upgrade my NetBackup services out there as well? So that's definitely what we want to achieve for our customers as well. Of course, and also to enable self-service for a lot of the data stakeholders as well, where you have different owners out there, whether it's from the test and dev team, from the application owners, from the infrastructure owners as well. All this without sacrificing any human oversight as well, right? So essentially what we want to do is to, here we are able to provide a more detailed view or from an architecture perspective. Each layer provides the following, right? The bottom layer actually provides the actual storage of the data, right? Where are you storing all those data in? That's why we are integrating a lot with that, right? Also, we also introduced in December last year a NetBackup Recovery Vault. This is a storage as a service to Azure, to AWS, and soon coming for Google support as well, right? So essentially, we want to reduce that complexity for customers that they need to do when they need to consume of some of these cloud storage services as well. The second layer from bottom provides all the containerized services, right? The NetBackup users to manage and to protect the data. Right? Currently, the snapshot service auto scales with auto scaling, right? And it's going to come for additional services as well, right? So the additional advantage of these containerized services is to provide composability, right? It deals with the interrelationships of components, right? So that they are all automated in the size in the right way. You can auto scale them correctly, and it's dynamic as well. Essentially, what end of the day makes it easier to use, right? There's not much planning that you need to do because everything is automated, and very crucial element is it actually allows customers to save costs as well. So another area that we want to do that is in the area of resiliency. How do we easily start? How do we easily replace some of these services? We want to containerize some of these services without impacting operations as well. So the last layer essentially is to provide orchestration management, right? This management has to be driven through automation, or we also may allow interaction for customers, right, to call some of these operations so that they can perform an end-to-end control of all this layer as well, right? End of the day, our strategy is to provide autonomous data management, right? So this layer then provides all the programmability and intelligence to allow customers to better manage all their data. I want to make sure that it just happens and not too much work that for customers to go into managing the entire solution that they have as well. So today we talked about a lot of things, right? We talked about NetBackup starting from 8.3, where we took an API first approach to enable that cross-domain automation. In 9.0, we introduced the capabilities to containerize some of these capabilities, right? Which we introduced in the form factor of our Flex and FlexScale appliances, right? So of course, in 9.1, we took those containers, right, and then deploy them into the cloud, right? To allow customers to then have a elastic cloud capabilities, right? Features such as auto scaling, right? Storage as a service with recovery vault, AI power anomaly detection, right? So with this, essentially in the next week, we're going to launch NetBackup 10 with all the capabilities that we just talked about to allow customers to convert those containers into microservices. And essentially, it works consistently across the multiple clouds that customers may choose to run to as well. So of course, again, doubling down on the message on the malware scanning, that is a very powerful mechanism that a lot of customers have very positive feedback on, and they are very keen to actually adopt that to move to NetBackup 10 to make sure that they do have that capability as well. So of course, moving forward beyond NetBackup 10, we'll continue to work on features that enable the end-to-end cloud elasticity for performance and security. Of course, to enhance our AI ML powered automation. At the end of the day, we want to provide the outcome for our customers to enable self-provisioning, self-configuration, self-optimization, and even self-service. Right? So I'm actually never more excited now in Veritas that we're able to help our customers redefine the next phase in data management. Right? So I'm looking to enabling some of these outcomes for our customers like yourself out there. Right? So hope that today's sharing session is a good information, right, to help you to decide, right, to actually to understand why you should be looking at upgrading to the latest version of NetBackup out there as well. Right. So that concludes the session that we have for today. Probably I'll turn it over to Amit, whether there's any questions that we want to address.
Thank you, Daniel. And I have been busy typing in answers to the questions. I'm so happy that we are seeing absolutely a foray of questions coming in. Cheksan and Jeff, thank you for covering the ground. There have been a few questions that were interesting, and maybe I'm going to quickly check with Jeff if there was a question that you thought was interesting and would be worth bringing it up for a discussion here.
Sorry, Amit. Look, I think there's been some great questions too around how the malware scanning works in more detail, right? I think that's one. Maybe another question we could briefly cover as well is if we've got customers who've got a heterogeneous environment, they've got Unix, they're going to an orchestrated compute x86-based cloud, on-prem hybrid cloud environment or private cloud, and then they're going to cloud. How does Veritas address that?
Brilliant. Daniel, two questions or areas. One is anomaly detection. If you could just talk a little bit on that, and then hybrid and multi-cloud environments.
Sure. Glad to take that questions. So in the area of anomaly detection, again, you have to be on 9.1 to at least minimally have that capabilities. So do move to that version if you're not already on. So in 9.1 with anomaly detection, what we actually do is we are actually picking up all the metadata from a job policy perspective. Stuff such as your file count, how much files we have been backing up, the dedupe rates as well, right? And then any change, the change rate that we are observing, and also the time that they take to backup. So what we actually did is build in a machine learning database. So from there, we will be actually capturing all the baseline. By default, the baseline will probably take almost a month worth of backup. After observing the characteristic of the job itself for over a month, we will then be having a baseline. Right? This will be understanding from a NetBackup perspective that typically this is how the job pattern will behave. This is the number of files typically you will have. This is the time typically you take to back up this particular job, right? So any abnormality that's being detected, like a sudden big change in the number of files, the dedupe ratio suddenly changed from very good to be something very bad, right? The time that you take to back up, from like 20 minutes, 40 minutes becomes like 4 hours. All this will then be possibly be picked up as a abnormality, right? So then you'll be flagged out in NetBackup perspective, right? You'll be able to send notifications to your backup administrators. Then from there, you'll be able to do any secondary investigations, right? To then understand whether is this a real anomaly or is it a false positive as well. So in NetBackup 10, we allow customers to then control this anomaly detection from an input perspective, right? For example, if it's a false positive in NetBackup 10, now we allow you to then mark that as a false positive, right? Thereby improving the machine learning baselining capabilities as well, right? You can also mark that as to ignore, right? For example, if this is like a test policy that you're having, just ignore anything with regards to that policy, right? So in NetBackup 10, we have made additional enhancement in that anomaly detection. Right, in NetBackup 10, on top of this anomaly detection, we've added in the malware scanning. Right, so in the anomaly detection, once the job policy has finished, we'll be assigning a risk score. Right, so there will be a low, medium, and high risk status being assigned to the anomaly detection. Once a high anomaly score has been assigned to that policy or to that job, a automated scanning will take place as well. Right, so next you need to deploy a separate malware scanner. The backup copy will then be mounted onto the malware scanner, and the automated scanning will happen in the backend. So all this is integrated, it's configurable via policy. So end to end, then it allows a very easy way for customers to know, oh, actually, am I at risk of having any malware in my backup copies as well? So in a very simple manner, is how the anomaly detection with the malware scanning works together as well. Right. In the next subsequent few sessions, we're going to dive deeper into that to show you in the actual process flow down on that as well. So in the next question, I think on the hybrid cloud setup as well. So of course, NetBackup is never more well positioned for a hybrid cloud world as well. With our strong capabilities in on-premise, in the data center, right, whichever workloads, I would say that you may have, NetBackup can be able to protect it as well. And now in the last few years, we made a lot of inroads and improvements in the cloud world as well. And it's not just on one single cloud, right? We have actually made strive to make sure that we deliver parity capabilities across all the 3 public clouds that are more globally well adopted across the world, right? AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud as well. So with that end-to-end, you're actually able to use a single solution, right? There's no need for you to buy solution A just for use on-premise, and you will then buy solution B to use for my cloud. So end-to-end, we're able to actually collapse and deliver value to customers with a single solution, whereby the skill set required to maintain, there's no need to adopt new skill sets. Of course, and that return on investment that you already have in the NetBackup of on-premise, you can then utilize some of these features in the cloud world as well, thereby forming a hybrid multi-cloud capabilities for our customers out there.
Hey, Daniel, I think it's also fair to say that just looking at this NetBackup journey here, right, we've talked about our autonomous data management vision. We often call that cloud scale technology as well, where NetBackup is is evolved to be containerized, microservices driven, shrinks and shrink or auto scales, for want of a better term, shrinks and grows and shrinks on demand. What you're going to see by upgrading with this is a real modular approach to obtaining more features and functionality in a simpler way. You know, we acknowledge that we've brought out a lot of versions of NetBackup over the last 3 years. As we go forward, and one of the key motivators to get you to upgrade with us is to make sure that as you go to 9.1, you get some of the new features and capabilities, and you can benefit from the modularity as we continue to change the product. So as we go into a new world, you'll still have the notion of a master and a media server, but it'll look and feel different. It'll be more and more containerized, and it'll be modular in that however you want to run it in the cloud or on premise or on an appliance will fundamentally end up being over time the same. So Veritas is making significant investments in NetBackup. You'll see some big changes over the next 24 months. And I think it's really, really exciting. Thanks, Daniel and Amit.
Thanks, Jeff. And we have questions coming in as well. We were slotted for 45 minutes. We've gone to 51 minutes. And I think the questions are coming in. So we might take a couple more. I'm happy to extend because this is a good conversation. And, you know, people, if you have to drop off, do drop off, but people who can hang around, you know, stay back. All right. So Daniel, one more question that has been, you know, coming up quite often is in terms of ransomware strategy, you know, what does Veritas offer that puts us apart from any other vendor? You know, if you could succinctly talk about 2 or 3 elements, that will just keep the conversation going.
Sure, I mean, yeah, in terms of ransomware strategy, Veritas has 3 key steps that we want our customers to do as well. So of course, one is the area of protect. Right, the 3 steps are broadly protect, detect, and recover. Right, essentially from a protection perspective, we want to make sure that backup copies are stored in the immutable storage. Right, that's a fundamental, right? We want to make sure that any data that we store, there's no way to change that data. There's no way to delete that data, right? So that the data cannot be encrypted with a ransomware. Right. So once that is done, essentially the next area is to essentially make sure that from not only just from a storage perspective, from a backup infrastructure perspective, we want to make sure that the entire backup infrastructure is also well protected. That's where we look at using all the security capabilities, right? The zero trust architecture principles around that we have built into our appliances as well. So in the real world out there, a lot of our customers are using NetBackup, and some of them have been hit with ransomware, right? So for the good news for appliances customer out there, none of our appliances customer has actually been hit with a ransomware that they can't recover from as well, right? But some of our customers, they are using BYO, for example, running their own NetBackup software on the OS that they manage by themselves, right? Unfortunately, they do have to call us in to actually help them with some of these recovery capabilities as well. So we actually have successfully helped to recover some of, to do recovery for some of these customers as well. Right, so in the area of protection, again, immutability, make sure your data backup infrastructure is secure. Right, in the area of detection, right, just now we talked about AI, ML, you know, anomaly detection, malware scanning. Right, this is one very key element, one very key capabilities that customers are looking for as well. They want to know that if now that I've stored the data, how then do I detect whether do I have any malware or worms inside there? Right, some customers may say, hey, I do have a lot of other third-party security components, solutions out there that help to do scanning as well. Do I really need to scan the backup copy? So my answer to them is definitely yes. Because a lot of times, some of the new malwares or worms may not have a signature right in the first few days or even weeks, for example. It could already be deployed out there and nobody knows its existence, right? No, because there's no signature that has been developed from that. So when we back it up in the backup space, we may have already ingested those malware inside the backup copies. But however, being a backup copy, they have no way to execute, right? Because it's just an image. There's no way for the malware or the worm to run anything. It can't spread as well. But however, weeks later or even months later, once the whole world knows of the presence of this malware, a new signature has been created, right? And then now allows us the capabilities then to scan those backup copies in time. We'll be able to then quickly pick up, okay, a month ago, actually you already are infected with that malware copy, right? Then from there, you'll be able to know which are the copies that are infected and not to use those copies anymore, right? So that visibility, that capability to detect is very important for a lot of our customers as well. So of course, in the area of recovery, right? Once really, unfortunately, if you're really impacted, what you want to do is to be able to recover at scale, and to quickly recover those capabilities as well. That's where a lot of our instant recovery capabilities for our workloads for VMware, for databases come in, right? From using our NetBackup resiliency platform to allow customers to then recover to any destination that they have as well, whether to use the cloud as a secondary recovery destination, or even to have any fast recovery capabilities for some of their workload that they need to have as well. So again, protect, detect, and recover. These are the three very key elements, three key steps from a data protection perspective that customers need to bear in mind.
Thank you, Daniel. And I just posted a web link in the chat. That is something that is, an analyst report, and you should look at all the aspects that Daniel just called out: protect, detect, and recover, have been thoroughly explained in that report, and you will also see the thought leadership that Veritas has in this space, and then you can always compare it with what other offerings you have in the market. So with that said, I'm going to take one last question, and again, most of the questions are around the behavior of anomaly detection and malware. So I think we as a team take that as a good feedback. We will schedule a session dedicated to that topic and make sure that we bring out the value and the experience and how simple it is, as well as how valuable it is to have a feature like that in NetBackup 9. Now, I am cognizant of the fact that the primary motive of this session was to make sure that we have clearly articulated the risks that you have on running an older version of NetBackup, be it 8.x or 7.x in the worst case. Our recommendation going forward is to at least get to 9.1, and we have upcoming releases of NetBackup 10 that should give you much more features and benefits. Having said that, please reach out to us on this email address that you see on the screen, asr.team@veritas.com, for all the questions that we could answer. We've put in the Q&A tab, but for questions that we could not answer, or if you have anything that you want to reach out to or ask us for help, we are available on this email address. So please reach out to us. And until next time, we will look forward to hearing your feedback, and your feedback actually drives what sessions we bring in this series. So with that said, I would like to...
Sorry, Armin, I'm cutting you off on a perfect ending, but asr.team@veritas.com is a great way to come and ask us for some market engagement that you might like. It's the technical community. If you want to see something specific, reach out.
Thank you, Jeff. All right, thank you, Daniel, for covering the ground, and thank you, Jackson, Trudy, and Julie for running the show in the background. And I will now take your leave, and we will see you in another few weeks' time. Thank you so much for joining in, and we'll share the recording of this session later on. Thanks all. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks.